Admiral Zektar's four eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display aboard his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. For 3 cycles, his fleet of 200 vessels had swept through the Outer Rim territories, each world falling before the might of the hegemony without significant resistance. The pattern had become routine. Arrive, demand surrender, obliterate any foolish enough to resist, then claim another system for the Empire. Today should have been no different. The small blue-green world designated as Earth by its inhabitants showed primitive energy signatures and basic electromagnetic communications. Intelligence reports suggested a species barely capable of rudimentary spaceflight. Their largest vessels appeared to be crude metal constructs designed more for cargo transport than warfare. "Admiral," chirped Communications Officer Velthi, her antenna twitching with what Zektar recognized as confusion. "We're receiving a transmission from the 3rd planet. Audio only, single frequency." "Put it through," Zektar commanded, settling his massive bulk into his command throne. He expected the usual pleading, perhaps an offer of tribute or resources in exchange for mercy. What came through the speakers, however, was something entirely different. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered sovereign human space without authorization. State your intentions or prepare to be engaged." The bridge fell silent. Zektar's secondary arms flexed involuntarily. In his 60 years of conquest, no species had ever issued such a direct challenge, especially not one so technologically inferior. "Scan their vessels again," he ordered. "How many ships do they have?" "Sir, we're detecting 1 contact. Single vessel, approximately 3 kilometers in length. Mass readings are unusual. The density suggests heavy armor plating, but the energy output is minimal." Zektar's laugh was a deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the bridge. "1 ship? They challenged the entire hegemony fleet with a single vessel?" He activated the communications array. "Human Admiral, I am Admiral Zektar of the stellar hegemony. You face 200 warships, each capable of reducing your pathetic world to molten slag. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." The response came without hesitation. "Negative, Admiral Zektar. This is your final warning. Withdraw from our space or face the consequences." "Show me this ship," Zektar growled. The main screen shifted to display the human vessel, and for the first time in his military career, Admiral Zektar felt a chill run through his carapace. The ship was unlike anything in hegemony records. Where their vessels were smooth, curved constructs designed for efficiency and elegance, this human warship was a brutal symphony of angles and armor. Weapon ports dotted its hull like the eyes of some ancient predator, and massive turrets rotated with mechanical precision. But it was the ship's name, painted in stark white letters across its dark hull, that made Zektar's breath catch, unbreakable. "Sir," whispered his tactical officer, "the electromagnetic signatures, they're not using plasma conduits like civilized species. Their entire ship appears to be hardwired with primitive electrical systems. And those weapon ports, I count over 400 discrete firing points." "Impossible," Zektar muttered. "No ship can mount that many weapons and still maintain structural integrity." As if responding to his doubt, the human vessel began to transform. Hull plates slid away to reveal row upon row of missile tubes. Turrets that had seemed large from a distance proved to be merely the tips of massive weapon systems that emerged from within the ship's superstructure. Energy readings that had been minimal suddenly spiked as the vessel's true power came online. "Admiral," his communications officer's voice was barely a whisper, "I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions around their ship. Whatever they're powering up, it's affecting local spacetime." The Unbreakable rotated slowly, bringing its full broadside to bear on the hegemony fleet. Along its hull, windows lit up to reveal vast chambers filled with creatures. Thousands of them moving with purpose through what appeared to be multiple ship levels. "By the void," breathed Zektar's science officer. "Admiral, that ship isn't just a warship. It's a mobile fortress. My readings suggest it's carrying a full military complement of over 50,000 beings. And sir, they're not all human." The tactical display updated, showing energy patterns that defied conventional understanding. The human ship's weapon systems operated on principles the hegemony had never encountered. Kinetic accelerators that could punch through any known armor, fusion missiles with yields that rivaled small suns, and energy weapons that seemed to bend space itself. "Admiral Chen, Zektar found himself saying, his voice lacking its earlier confidence. Your ship is impressive, but surely you cannot believe that one vessel, regardless of its capabilities, can stand against our entire fleet. The human's response carried a tone that made every being on Zektar's bridge shiver. Admiral Zektar, you're looking at humanity's oldest active warship. The Unbreakable was commissioned 67 years ago. She's scheduled for retirement next month. A pause that seemed to stretch for eternity. We have 1,700 ships in her class, and that's just our second-line vessels. The bridge erupted in panicked chittering and clicking as officers processed the implications. If this ancient ship could generate such readings, what could their modern fleet do? Furthermore, Admiral Chen continued, you should know that human naval doctrine doesn't rely on individual ship superiority. We fight as fleets, as flotillas, as armadas. The Unbreakable isn't here to fight your entire fleet, Admiral Zektar. She's here to hold you in place until our reinforcements arrive. As if summoned by her words, space began to shimmer around the human vessel. One by one, massive ships materialized from what the hegemony's sensors finally identified as some form of faster-than-light travel that didn't require traditional jump points or hyperspace lanes. Tactical, Zektar's voice was hollow. How many? Sir, I count 50 vessels materializing. No, 75. Sir, they're still coming through. These aren't warships, Admiral. These are dreadnoughts, each one larger than our flagship. Admiral Zektar stared at the display as humanity's true naval power revealed itself. Ships that made the Unbreakable look small moved into formation with the precision of a species that had clearly been fighting wars in space for far longer than their primitive technology suggested. Admiral Chen, he said quietly, the stellar hegemony withdraws from this system. We had not realized that humanity was already a spacefaring military power. Admiral Zektar, came the calm reply. Humanity has been fighting wars since before we could fly. We've simply adapted our methods to a larger battlefield. Safe travels. And consider this your only warning about human space. As the hegemony fleet turned and departed, Admiral Zektar made a note in his personal log. Species classification, human. Status, avoid at all costs. Behind them, the human fleet maintained formation until the last hegemony ship disappeared into hyperspace. Only then did the Unbreakable power down her weapons and resume her scheduled patrol. Just another day in the life of humanity's outdated warships.